If you'd like online business explained to you in a way that you can actually understand, go to latenightim.com/explain. It's completely free and I made it just for you. Now, how about an episode? Episode 197.
Late Night Internet Marketing.
This week on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast, we talk about productivity hacks while you're stuck at home during COVID-19. All this and more on the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
The Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
You've been working for somebody else, but you want a business to run yourself. You want to know how to start and where to begin. Can you get out your comfort zone, my friend? Yes, you can do it right when it's late at night. At the end of the day, your dreams burning inside. So keep it up and you will find that you're building your business one night at a time.
And now, broadcasting late at night from a little studio in the big state of Texas, your host, Mark Mason.
Hey, how is everyone doing? I hope you are doing well and surviving whatever situation you're in with regard to the coronavirus and COVID-19. I am your host, Mark Mason, coming to you from the locked down shelter-in-place studio here in Dallas, Texas. I really do hope you're doing okay. We're great here. We've got plenty of food. We're healthy. And we're able to work from home, day job wise, as well as internet business side hustle wise. And one of the things that has become readily apparent to me over the last couple of weeks working at home is that this ginormous change in your routine, whether you were working a day job and now you don't have that day job anymore. And if that's you, I'm sorry about that. That's a tough situation to be in. Or if you've got a day job like me and now that day job means you've got to work from home because you are sheltering in place or under stay-at-home orders, or you're a solo entrepreneur and you're just trapped in your house and you used to be able to go out and do things, but now you're at home. What I recognize immediately is you need some productivity tips. You got to change what you're doing and how you're approaching the current situation in order to be as efficient as possible in this particular time. A lot of people are under pressure to replace revenue and do more. And so I think it's really important that we understand what are the best kind of tips that we can look at in order to stay productive while we're in this shelter at home, stay at home situation. So I've come up with a list of do's and don'ts for you, and I hope they'll be helpful. I hope they help you be more productive during this time, and we'll go through them here on the podcast. Most of all, I want you to stay safe, but while you're staying safe, you might as well get some great things done. So the first thing I want to offer you is the most important tip, I think, is to stay positive in the middle of this coronavirus situation. And what do I mean by that and why is that important? I can just say that if you find yourself latched up on the difficult situation that the world finds us in, and you're spending a lot of time focusing on the trials and tribulations of people that are impacted by this, that will affect your mental state. Your mental state is made up of the things that come into your mind. And so I want to encourage you during this time, during this difficult time, to do everything that you possibly can to stay positive. And some of that can mean restricting the amount of negative information, the oh, woe is me information that comes to you in the middle of a crisis like this, and controlling what goes into your mind. And the other thing that it means is finding more positive, uplifting information that you can put into your mind. whether it's podcasts that have a positive message like this one, or it's your religious practice, whatever that is. You want to feed your mind positive information in a situation like this, because staying positive is the foundation on which productivity is going to be built. You've got to stay positive. And that may mean you may have to ask people that are being negative around you to stop it. And that may mean you may need to snooze people in your Facebook feed that are going on and on about how awful the world is, or how terrible your government is, or whatever it is that they're talking about. You may need to mute that conversation for a while in order to stay positive. This is really important, and it's just like diet. If you're having trouble getting your mind around this, if you eat crap, you feel like crap. And I will tell you that if you put junk in your mind, you are going to feel junky. It's really that simple. And so I think it's really important to stay positive during this time. And another way to stay positive, and I think an advantage that you can take that will make you feel better about yourself and will also help you in your business, is to identify things that you need to learn to be more effective in your business, and go out and learn things. Now, I want you to be careful and don't go crazy and go get lost in Udemy or Skillshare for 12 hours a day, just watching a bunch of stuff that you don't know, but you don't need to know. But be specific about things that could make you more efficient in your business, and go learn those things while you have some time in this situation, while you're trapped in your house. And instead of perhaps watching the next episode of NCIS, go ahead and learn things that can help you in your business. So I want you to stay positive, fill your mind up with things that are going to move you in the right direction. Now, the second tip I have for you is I want you each and every day, in the name of productivity, to have a very clear plan. I think one of the things that's easy to do in a situation where you have been completely upset with regard to your normal routine, everything has changed, everything about the routine that you had established for months and months is gone by the wayside, is you can just sort of mill about aimlessly. And I know I've caught myself doing this, not exactly knowing what I needed to do next, because I just wasn't used to being in this particular situation. And the only antidote for that I can recommend is that you need to have a daily plan. Every day when you wake up, it needs to be absolutely clear what you're going to do today, because you decided the night before what the 3 most important things are that you need to get done. And I think this applies to your business and being productive in your business, knowing what those 3 things are. For example, one thing on my list today, it's actually item number 2, is to record this podcast. That is on my list for today, and I absolutely committed last night that I was going to get that done today, get the podcast uploaded and get it out to you. You need to be identifying those similar things for your business. And you may also, in the name of life balance, want to be identifying a couple of additional other things that you need to do to keep your environment stable. I mean, maybe it's absolutely critical for the health and sanity of those around you that you do those 2 chores that your spouse has been asking you to do, or whatever it is. But you need to start the day with a clear plan of at least 3 items that you're going to get done that day to advance your business, and then maybe 3 more items that you're going to do to keep your sanity and maybe maintain your positive attitude and keep things running well as you shelter at home. I want you to be, and this is item number 3, I want you to be aware of this idea of focus. And I want you, during this time when you're sheltered at home, to make sure that you have got sufficient focus on a few items that you're going to complete over this next month, and not fall victim to this idea that, oh, I've got all this time, I can do all these things, and start making this crazy wild long list of things you're going to be able to accomplish. Because what will happen is you'll get 17 things on your list, you'll work a little bit on all 17 things, and you won't finish anything. What I want you to do In the same way that you're identifying the 3 most important tasks every day, is to identify 2 or 3 or 4 projects that over the next month, let's say in the month of April, that you plan to finish that will make your business better, stronger, faster, whatever it is that you're working on in your business and you need to accomplish. 2 or 3 or 4 projects that you're going to work on over that time, not a laundry list of 17 things that you've always wished you had done, and now you think you're going to get them done because you're sheltering at home. It's a huge mistake to lose focus during this time. If anything, you want to double down on focus because you've actually got the opportunity to get some focus. You're not being pulled to baseball practice, in my case, or to dance class, or the 17 things that you normally would have done. So leverage that with focus. Focus doesn't mean adding to the list. It actually means taking stuff off the list. Make sure you keep that narrow. The 4th thing I want to offer you is to make sure that you establish a new routine. I want you to do the same thing every morning, whether that means getting up and getting a little exercise, getting up and stretching, getting up and having your coffee, and getting right to work. Don't fall into the trap again of not only not having a list of things that you're going to do today, but having randomness in your early morning. In situations like this, where you're waking up in exactly the same situation every day, this is a great opportunity to establish an actual routine and get maximum leverage over something like the miracle morning type of approach, where you're doing the same thing every morning and getting your best work done in the morning. Now, I'm not saying you need to wake up at 5 a.m., but if you're trapped in the house with 7 other people or 4 other people that are noisy during most of the day, maybe the secret to your day really is to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and get 2 or 3 hours of really great work done before anybody gets up in the house. Maybe that will be the magic for you. Or maybe your magic will be to sleep in every day and work late into the night after everybody goes to bed. Either way, establish a routine and tweak that routine to leverage against the stuff that's going on in your house. And make sure that that routine includes some stuff for yourself, like showering and shaving and stretching and doing some exercises or walking around the neighborhood, or establish some routines that are in the betterment of self category. Because if you're just hunched down over your desk for the next 4 or 5 weeks, that's not going to be good for you. You're going to need to do some things that maintain you so that you can be as effective as possible. The other thing I want to encourage you along those lines of establishing a routine is just make sure you keep moving. I know that one of my tendencies in this sort of situation is to sit at my desk all day. If you've got a tool like an Apple Watch that tells you to get up and move every hour, take that seriously and actually get up and move. And make move mean something more than it normally does. The Apple Watch normally tells you to stand up every hour. Instead of just standing up, take that as an opportunity to walk around the block if that's permitted in your situation, or walk around the house. Or if you're in a 2-story house, go up and down your stairs a couple of times, get on your treadmill if you have one, or your elliptical trainer, go on a bike ride, whatever's permitted in your area. Just get that 5 minutes in there, hit reset, and then get back to work. I think that keeping moving as part of your new routine will really help. Okay, so now we're in this situation. The other thing that I think can happen to you that will impact your productivity is you can become too isolated. I mean, by definition, we have been asked to self-isolate, or to isolate with our cohort, our family. And so we want to take some actions here that reduce that isolation. And I want to encourage you to connect strategically. Reach out to other people, either in your friend and family group or in your business relationship group, and connect with them by a Zoom call or Skype call or by a phone call, and just ask them what's going on, talk, and use the opportunity to build strategic business relationships that improve your productivity going forward. I don't know what that looks like exactly for you, but I know that connecting with other people will help keep you in the right frame of mind. It will help keep you positive, and it will help keep you moving forward. I'll give you some examples both professionally and privately. So professionally, of course, I'm continuing with my mastermind groups. I have two particularly that are fun right now. One is my Green Room Mastermind with Cliff and Leslie and Mike and Ray and Pat. I've talked about that many times on the show. We're continuing to meet, and we've changed the format of that mastermind. Instead of hot seats now, we're just having a gab session about what's going on and what struggles people are dealing with and how we can help. And this last week, one of us had a business issue that we were working through that was coronavirus related, and we shared that with the group, and everybody in the group contributed to the solution for that business problem. Those kind of meetings are very uplifting, and it lets you know that you're not in whatever situation you're in alone. And it's very helpful to have those kind of communications with other people that are in a similar situation from you from a business standpoint. And if you don't have a mastermind, make an ad hoc one. No better time than to reach out to some people that you admire or that you know or that are in your tribe or whatever and say, hey, I'm starting a coronavirus mastermind. I'd like you to join it. We're going to do this for the duration of this lock-in situation, and we'd like to have you come on the call. And people will be open to that. I think in general, it's a really good time to do this. So that's a business example. Privately, as you guys know, I play softball, and my softball team, we had just started the spring season. We played one game. We played two games, a doubleheader. We won them both, and we're sitting in first place with no other games to play, which is really disturbing because we really like softball. And every time we play softball, we go to the same bar after the softball game and we sit there and talk for hours usually. And it's just crass and, crazy, just guy talk stuff. And we all really miss it. So what did we do? We had a Zoom call. So we had a virtual softball meeting the other night. We all brought our beverage of choice and we just sat around on the call and just talked for a while about what's going on. And those kind of social meetings on Zoom and seeing those guys is a really positive thing. All the guys liked it. It actually went on for more than an hour, and we just, talking over each other and going crazy and showing old pictures that we had. And we'll probably do that again once every week or two just to stay in touch because, again, it helps you stay positive. It helps you stay connected. And one point I want to make here about this connection go do to help you stay productive is use video. You may not have showered this morning and your hair may be messed up, but I think video is a really important part of this connection process. Get yourself a little ring light or something. Amazon's still up and running and make yourself look good on video and go ahead and use video when you make these connections. I think it really enhances the experience and it really helps deliver that uplifting sort of feeling that you get whenever you connect with other people. Now, as far as don'ts, let me tell you a couple of don'ts that I've uncovered in this journey that I want to share with you. One is if you have a job that you were working at and now you're working at home, don't let the fact that you're at home turn that into a 24-hour-a-day job. I know that for me personally, this working from home all the time has started to erase the boundaries between when I start that day job and when I finish and start working on my personal stuff. And it's getting super blurry, especially in my case, because my company is a multinational corporation. And so there are people in other time zones, like in Asia and Europe, that are wanting to connect, and we're managing this global crisis. And so it's very easy in a situation like that to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You need to set some boundaries. And while I'm not suggesting that you put your job at risk, because a lot of times in these crisis situations where people's jobs are at risk, one of the ways you mitigate that risk is by over-delivering, so you're the last man in the boat. I totally get that. But you need to make sure that you make a conscious decision about where that boundary is, when you stop that day job and when you start your side hustle. Or if you're a solo entrepreneur working all day long, you need to make sure that you're managing your personal time versus your business time in these kind of confusing situations where you're trapped in the house. Just make sure that you've made a conscious decision about what your boundaries are. And maybe your boundary just simply is, at 6 p.m. every day, I'm going to go turn the computer off and go to the living room and hang out with a family for a couple of hours. Maybe it's something as simple as that, but don't let this change in external circumstances completely destroy all the boundaries that you've established to help you get a work-life balance going in your life. The other thing that I would suggest that you not do, resist the temptation to get pulled into the news cycle endlessly. I think it's perfectly fine for you to stay up to date on what's going on in world events. But quite honestly, the truth of the matter is, knowing what's going on with human interest stories in Italy is outside of your sphere of control and influence. I mean, it's interesting, and I think it's fine for you to stay up to date on what's going on in a particular place in the world, but hours and hours of these stories with these bickering politicians and all this other stuff, that's not helping you. There's nothing you can do about it, and there's nothing that's going to do but bring you down and take up your time. So turning CNN on and watching it all day, nothing good comes from that. And you may say that you would like to be educated about the situation. I think you can find good news sources and spend 10 minutes a day and be as educated as you need to be about this. Okay, maybe it's 20 minutes a day, but it's certainly not 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours of CNN and the commercials between segments and all that other junk that people get wrapped up in. And just be careful about getting caught up in the coverage of this, because there's nothing you can do about most of the information there. There's nothing actionable there for you that's not going to cause anything but negative emotions and worry. You need to stay focused on the stuff that impacts you directly and things that are in your direct sphere of influence. And typically that means following your local instructions and staying at home. You don't need to know much else beyond that. I'm not suggesting that you not be educated, that you be ignorant, but I am suggesting that you be efficient about your intake of information about the current crisis. The third thing I don't want you to do is I don't want you to ignore your virtual assistants. If you've got people on your team, now's the time to over-communicate. Check in with them, and don't just check in with them about business. Check in with them, see how they're doing. How's their family doing? What is it that you can do to help them? And if you know that you're going to be able to pay them through this crisis, make sure they know that, so they're not guessing about what their personal situation is financially with respect to what you have to offer them from a financial security standpoint. Make sure you're communicating well. Don't overpromise. I'm not putting pressure on you to take any particular course of action. Just communicate and make sure that those lines of communication are open with the people that you normally work with. Make sure they're doing okay, and make sure if there's anything that you can do to help, that you are offering to do that. I think that impacts your positive mental space by helping people, and it impacts the positive mental space of the people that are doing work for you. I think it's a really good idea for you to not ignore your VAs during this crisis. The other thing that we talked about already, I just want to reiterate it here on the don't side, is don't be too ambitious. Like I said, I think the tendency is to say, oh my gosh, I've got all this time, I'm not commuting anymore. Even I did this when this virus first came out. It was like, okay, I'm trapped at home now. I'm going to get amazing piles of things done. All of these things that I haven't been able to do for years and years and years, I'm going to get them done. Don't fall in that trap, because that's just going to give you a list of, as I mentioned before, 17 things, and you're not going to get any of them actually done. Stay focused on the 2 or 3 that actually matter, and don't get too ambitious during this time. And then the final thing I want to offer you today is, and boy, this is another one. As you can tell, for these podcasts, I like to pull from my personal experience. Resist the temptation to watch entire series of things on Netflix. Right now, my wife and I, we like kind of these kind of science fiction adventure type things sometimes. And this sort of near science fiction series, Marvel type, DC type series called Arrow on Netflix is something that we didn't watch when it came out, and we've started watching Arrow now, and we really enjoy it. And so we have to resist the temptation to watch 4 or 5 episodes of Arrow every night. So, but we do need to spend time together and do stuff, and watching TV together is one of the things that I do with my wife. So we're trying to watch at least 1 episode every night. We don't get to it every night, but not 7, which is what I'd really like to do. I'd really like to get in there about 7:00 at night and just turn it on, binge watch, and just eat popcorn and watch the thing go for 5 hours. But that's not what you need to be doing. It's really tempting to do that. Probably you don't have to get up as early as you were getting up. You can stay up late and watch Netflix. And I'm suggesting if that's happening to you, as it has happened to me already a couple of times during this crisis, I want to make sure that you're taking that into account, recognize it for what it is, and make sure that you've made a conscious decision about how much entertainment you're going to allow into this conversation. As we've talked over the last several weeks, this kind of crisis brings a lot of opportunity. In fact, I guess in Chinese characters, the Chinese character for danger and opportunity is the same character. So you can always find opportunities in these kind of adverse situations. And I'm encouraging you to do that. And the best way to do that is to stay productive. Make sure you're positive, that you have a solid plan every day, that you stay focused on the stuff that really, really matters to your business, that you establish a solid routine that you can lean on every day to make sure that you get things done, that you keep moving as part of that routine, keep your physical situation moving in the right direction with a little bit of exercise. Make sure you're connecting strategically with people in your niche or business partners that can help you get through this and uplift your spirits, and do that with video, while at the same time not letting your day job take over, not getting pulled into endless news cycles, not ignoring important people in your business like your virtual assistants, not being too ambitious, and above all, not binge watching shows like Arrow. So I hope this is helpful to you. I hope it's just another bullet in your gun to help you stay productive and get things done in the midst of all this crisis. I hope that you're staying safe, and I will be right back here next week in order to help you get through this, because that's really what we're all trying to do. Now, if this is the first time that you've ever listened to this episode and or to the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast, and you got here because you're interested in starting your own internet business, taking this opportunity, I've got this free video course that helps you get started at latenightinternetmarketing.com/start. It takes you through all the different sort of overview of internet business, the kinds of internet businesses that there are out there, and how you might get started. And it also I've got a little bonus video in there about how you might consider making some money today, even if you don't have a business online. What if you need to make money right now? All of that's available at latenightinternetmarketing.com/start. I hope to see you there. And until next time, stay safe, follow the directions, wash your hands, and don't touch your face. Ciao.
You can do it right when it's late at night.
You've been listening to the Late Night Internet Marketing Podcast.
Be sure to visit lnimpodcast.com today to leave feedback for Mark. Download special bonus content, access the show notes, and more. See you there.
Until then, go and make some great progress on your internet business, one night at a time.
Business one night at a time.
Okay, so I really like this Arrow show. And, these shows, they require a little bit of suspension of disbelief. But basically, this is a kind of like a Batman meets Robin Hood. So this guy is, it's really well constructed. I'm just in the first season, so there's some spoilers here. So if you haven't seen Arrow, you may want to punch out here. I'm not going to tell a whole lot of stuff, but it's really cool because the premise of the show is there's this guy who's basically in a Batman role, but he's kind of fighting the very rich bad guys, not just the street thugs or the evil villains like Batman, but he's really going after the super rich villains, which is interesting. That makes him a little more like Robin Hood. And also his weapon of choice is an arrow, right? A bow and arrow. So that makes him like Robin Hood, and he wears green. So it's, like I said, it's Batman meets Robin Hood. But the super cool thing about this story is, in addition to the small story arcs that go in each episode, there are these two big story arcs. One big story arc is that all of these super rich super villains have this master plan, and he's trying to understand what their master plan is so he can foil it. And he's just really at the beginning of that journey. And then the other really cool story arc is there's a story arc from 5 years ago that has caused him to be in this situation. And they're revealing that 5 year ago story arc at the same time that they're revealing the current, present day story arc. So from a construction standpoint, if you're a literature person or you write screenplays, I think it's really cool the way this thing is constructed. It's very interesting from that standpoint. And it's really pretty well written for, for the kind of thing that this is, a reasonable budget kind of Marvel DC sort of thing. It's really cool. So I really like it. I recommend that you check out Arrow. Ciao.
Late night internet marketing.
Hey, it's Mark again. I wanted to tell you one more time about this absolutely free resource that I have for helping people who are trying to get the big picture for internet marketing, actually get started and understand what all their choices are. If that's not you, there's no more content. You can skip to the end. But if you're someone who came to this podcast because you're searching for how to get started online and you just can't cut through all the noise, I get it. That was me. In 2007, when I was trying to get started, there were so many people throwing offers at me that I really couldn't even understand what all the different business models were. I couldn't understand how money moved around on the internet, and I couldn't really get a grip on what direction I wanted to go in so I could figure out how to move forward. I've created a free video resource for you just for that purpose at latenightim.com/explain. In several short videos, I just explained to you what internet marketing is all about and what online business is all about and the different options that you have for starting an online business. There's nothing to buy there. You just sign up for access and you get the videos just like that. So if that's interesting to you, or if you know someone who's in a same situation, send them that link, latenightim.com/explain. And let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what people are thinking that are in the exact same position that I was in more than a decade ago in 2007. In some ways, it seems like yesterday. And in some ways, it seems like an entire lifetime ago. Again, that's latenightim.com/explain.
Late night internet marketing.